Have we ever given thought to what we eat? If you have you thought about the far reaching consequences that what you eat has, not only for your health, but also for the health of the planet? In recent years, plant based diets have gained popularity, and for good reason. Hi, I'm Tej, and with me today is Nicole Brecht, the founder of the Good Life Refuge. And she provides a safe haven for abused and at risk farm animals and advocates a plant based diet. Welcome to Chizuba Talks, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me, Tish. I really appreciate being here today.
And this is a topic that is very close to my heart, too. I'm glad we are talking today. So, Nicole, tell us, when did this calling come to you for the first time? Did you feel an animal, called for your help?
Well, definitely. So I always have been an animal lover. I think this is the one track record and the red line that kind of pulls through all my life. I feel like I started rescuing animals at a very young age. So whenever I found an animal that was injured, needed help, I usually kind of caught it and, brought it to the vet. My parents were pretty supportive about that. Um, the farm animal piece came in later in life. I think when I was about 42. I started a different sanctuary. I was not vegan, still loved animals, but it was kind of like I was in dog rescue. And when there was the opportunity to start a sanctuary, I was like, yes, I'm in. And that kind of pushed me into the direction I am today. It educated me around, how we treat farm animals, the things that are happening behind the scenes. Like for me, my moment to completely switch cold turkey from an omnivorous diet to a plant-based diet was when I watched a video about the baby chicks, the male baby chicks being grounded alive. And I was like, I can't participate in this anymore. I do love animals, so I don't want to be a reason why they are being harmed.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So, when you say these, you provide a refuge to these animals. So, how do these animals come to you? Do you get a call? Do you look for them?
It really depends. So I would say looking for them is not happening. That might have been in the first few months when I got started 6 years ago, because you're eager to help, right, and to rescue. But we're, I think, statewide and probably US wide, most of us sanctuary are at capacity. So I have different avenues how the animals come to us. A lot are owner surrenders, which they call us and they're like, I have this animal, I can't take care of it. Or, some animals have special medical needs that they can't or don't want to provide. There is divorce happening sometimes and they lose the space for the animals. We had owner pass away. We have a few animals that came to us through being seized by animal control. And then we have mostly in the bird population, there is a high incidence of animals being dumped in the wild. Um, as a sanctuary, my priority is animals that are dumped and left to die in the wild to take them in. Um, Seizures from authorities, because if they're not going into sanctuary, then they're going into auction, which usually is a death sentence, or it just kind of, continues their suffering. Owner surrenders, while they're the highest requests, they're not necessarily my highest priority. We try to help where we can, because ultimately, when an owner can't place an animal, what are the risks about that, or what will the outcome be? Usually it's either they dump them or they get rid of them some way. That is usually not beneficial for the animals, but that's kind of the ballpark. I am in a network with other sanctuaries where we always kind of advocate for animals. So if I can't take an animal in, I send a text message to my colleagues and see if they have space. So that's kind of I always say, like, three ways animals come to us.
I went to your website and I noticed a lot of pigs, a lot of horses, and a lot of these farm animals there. I did read about how pigs are very intelligent creatures, and so are horses because they're used in therapy. So, is there an affiliate of yours that is, working with them so that they are able to provide therapy also, and in the process, of course, you know,
So
survive?
yeah, we're not set up for that yet. I had therapists come in, human therapists that kind of leverage the environment, being outdoors, and being around animals for their healing sessions. I would love to collaborate in these regards because I really think that the healing can go both ways for the animals as well as humans. Um, I do have a lot of volunteers who always kind of tell me that being here is their sanctuary. So while we're in general not using any of our animals per se for human benefit, um,
Yeah.
there is benefit just being in the environment because it's peaceful. You get to witness um, the animals being just themselves. They're being happy and content, and they just do their thing, and they know they're safe, they're loved. And a lot of our animals do love human interaction, so they will naturally seek to connect with you. And I think that that in itself is healing. But we are always looking in how can we educate better and how can we bring also a healing component to humans. And I think the animal human bond is very important um, for healing for humans, at least the
So
ones that
true.
kind of gravitate
Right.
towards animals. And I definitely see that our animals can bring that to humans as
Nicole,
well. So go ahead.
yeah. Could you tell us where you are located so anybody who's listening to this can probably help with that collaboration there.
So we are in northern Longmont in Colorado. It's about 25 minutes from Boulder, Colorado, which most people know Boulder, Longmont,
No.
not
Yes.
always, but yeah. So that's kind of where we are.
Great. And in terms of help, in terms of volunteers, what kind of volunteers do you need? Of course, there is maintenance, there is feeding, there is cleaning, there's so much more to do. As a nonprofit, I'm sure you have a lot of requirements. What kind of support do you seek?
So right now, my biggest need is to establish a bigger working board. So we're looking actively for board members, for animal lovers. Um, in regards of the board members, I'm really interested in people that don't shy away from fundraising because I maxed out my fundraising capacity. And in order to grow the organization where we need to go, I need more people actively helping to fundraise and reach our fundraising goals. Um, there within the board, I would love to have a veterinarian that actively helps us. As a working board, it's not just governing the organization, but it's actually pitching in because we're still at about 98% volunteer run. So we only have a few part time caretakers currently. I'm at this point a full time volunteer. And so, we all have to pitch in. I wear a lot of hats from marketing to fundraising, social media, donor relations, medical director,
Yeah,
caretaker
absolutely.
at times. So um, the board could help with these more administrative tasks. But
Tasks, yes.
fundraising is really the biggest need for that fundraises. And then the other piece is we're always looking for um, helpers on site. So the cleaning and feeding and medicating takes up quite a bit. So in order to do it to the high standards that we have, we need a lot of people. We need about 4 to 5 people a day if we want to hit
That's
every single area. That's not a small feast. So we're always looking for
absolutely.
hands-on volunteers. We're looking for people that help us train our equines in particular. Enrichment, we do the best we can, but being a small organization and small staffed, it's kind of the back end, right, of our priorities. But I would
Yeah.
love to have more enrichment happening for our pigs, for example, right? Um, so one of my dreams is to establish a forage garden for them where we just widely grow all kinds of things. I'm not a gardener. I can do animals, but I have not a green thumb at all. Everything related to green, I'm not good. We've seen a lot of land depletion and soil depletion
Yes.
because of the animals on the property grounds. And so I would love to counteract that because with that come issues like flooding and really muddy circumstances when we have rain or snow coming in. So I would love,
True.
to have groups coming in to collaborate who can help us with rejuvenating the land, right? Because this all goes into we're also connected. Everything is
It's an
so
ecosystem.
yeah, so deeply connected. It's like you deplete one, then you have problems here. It's not a great environment for the animals, right? It's not good for the environment. And and the land in itself. So I would love to get more holistic around that. So we have many, many opportunities for people to pitch in with their skills and their
Right.
love and compassion. Yeah, totally.
Well, I hope you get all the support that you can. Let's take a break to understand what Chizuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chizuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chizuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chizuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chizuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest. Uh, Talking of the animal farming industry, it is booming. And just the other day, I saw a video of how a truck that was heading to the slaughterhouse overturned. They had an accident and
Mhm.
somewhere in Southeast Asia. And the truck overturned, and the pigs that were actually stashed into these cages, they just suffocated and died. Some of them injured, some of them, suffocated. Sometimes I wonder, how can anybody not see this? And still, the animal industry is booming, animal farming industry. So, how can we create awareness about the pollution? How can we create awareness about the harm that it is causing? Because obviously, it is a huge lobby.
Well, it is mind-boggling to me as well, and I honestly don't have an answer to that. What I know is our dollar is commanding what's happening on the market. So if people stop eating meat or reducing meat, that will ultimately kind of contribute to stopping the suffering, because it's not just overturning, trucks. It's like Texas is burning, and with them, the cattle are burning, right? And it's like we've seen industrial halls burning, right? And they won't let them out because then they can't claim for the insurance. Um, we have ag gag laws that are pulling tighter so that, you actually can't go in and investigate and show it to the public without being persecuted or prosecuted. So it's a strong lobby. There's a lot of money there. And I think the only thing that we can do as consumers is actually not participate in the cruelty by not eating meat or reducing our consumption of meat and animal products. I think that's the only way. That's why I feel like education is so important, right? Um,
Yes.
so that people are being aware of what's happening, right, around them. And I don't think we can eradicate it. But, this is why I feel like the animal human bond is so important, because the way most societies are today, we are really trained and manipulated and into these are pets and these are commodities, right? We dehumanized, and I'm not sure that's the right word because it's usually for humans, but
They
we're
are
seeing that
sentient beings. Yes.
dehumanization. We are seeing this happening in a lot of human areas, right? Where one ethnic group is less than another, which is not how it should be, at least not in my
Mhm.
opinion. And we've done the same with animals, right? The dogs, the cats, maybe the horses still, they're kind of like petties and pets, right? But then the cows, the chickens, the
And we're
pigs,
not
we
even
come,
talking about the fish.
well, that's totally right. We took their sentient beingness away. We took away that they have souls. We took away that they have emotions and actually that they suffer, right?
Mm,
And that a lot of the suffering comes through us. We are
true.
brainwashing and showcasing the happy cows on pasture for the beef, right? And I'm like, even when we are talking pasture raised, it's better life, right? However, I'm like, there's always the end, right? And the end is at the
Right.
slaughterhouse. And that
Right.
is not nice. They might have had a better life, but we're still taking a life, right? That, in
True.
my opinion, and again, it took me 42 years to get to that point, right?
You
It's not
speak about
ours to.
education and these awareness programs. So, do you have any tie-ups or collaborations with schools or organizations? So, you promote the benefits of a plant-centric lifestyle.
Not yet. And the reason being is because we don't have bandwidth, right? I need staff
Okay.
to do that. Without staff, it's not possible. I'm not an educator per se, right? Um, I'm probably also not the best person with children. I do have children, but I'm very straightforward and planned in some regards. So, this would be had to be somebody who can make it fun for the kids, interesting and wrap it rightly, versus I'm usually just telling it how it is. And that's not always the best approach for kids, depending the age, right?
Right.
Um, but we are dreaming about having education program. I've been, talking about with my board, how could we get kids here? How could we foster compassion for animals? How could we showcase a different way of doing it? 4-H is pretty big in our area, and I want a program to offset 4-H that actually teaches the husbandry pieces and how to properly care for an animal, but it teaches the compassion with it, and that animals are our friends and not food, right? So I would love to have that, but we're not quite ready for it yet. There's so much you can do around education.
Absolutely.
And that actually is the piece where we as sanctuaries, I feel like, can have the biggest benefit, because if we can have one person switch to a plant-based diet, that saves about 400 animals, I think, if I have the number still correctly in my head, right? So we would love to have an education program. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. And the reason is bandwidth and staffing. So, with me being the person who has like 6 different
Doing
hats on,
everything.
doing not everything, but a lot, right? Um,
Yes.
I would be probably the person to run the education program. And I just don't have any capacity. And I'm also probably not the best person. I can barely handle my kids. Just kidding. But, I think I had a friend, unfortunately, she passed away, but she was just the most amazing teacher. She was funny. She made it interesting. She just had this way with kids. And that's kind of what I'm
Engaging.
imagining for somebody here. I want the kids having a ton of fun, being super engaged, and taking a lot away, right? And I'm very straightforward. This is how it is. And that's not always the right thing for kids, right? So you have to tailor it to your
Correct.
audience.
Right.
Um, so we would need an educator that's really good to bring that to children. But, there's this, I really love education because that's where you have the biggest impact. We're on a
Absolutely.
small location. I can probably, situate about 100 animals here. We're at 70 right now, and that's all we can handle nicely and to the standards I
70 of
want
them.
to.
How is
Yeah.
it like living on that in that area where early morning you hear all these animals, making all their sounds, oinks and neighing and everything? How does it feel?
Well, it's kind of hilarious and funny. And sometimes, the pigs, they sound like they're dying when they're ready for breakfast. But, for most part, I really love it. It's like when I go out and my roosters grow, I'm like, it doesn't bother me. This is beautiful to my ears, right? I love it when they talk to you, because they do talk to you to some degree, right? If I talk to my
Absolutely,
pig,
absolutely.
and she's like, and I'm like, right? She responds to me with grunting and like doing her snorts, and I was like, so I know she actually, you know, she recognizes my
Is
voice.
conversing.
Yeah, she is having a conversation with me in her own language,
Yeah.
right? Not that I know what she says, but no, I do
Also,
love it.
yeah, Nicole. No, on another note, what if we all are on a plant-centric diet? Do you think that is something that is sustainable? Do you think that is something that is, uh, you know, not really challenging? Your opinion.
Um, I'm not a scientist, but from every information I gathered and I've heard, it would be definitely the way to go, and the most sustainable way to go, actually, in every angle of life. Of course, um, everything we do on this earth has an impact, right? So
Absolutely.
crop farming will have an impact on the environment. But right now we're doing crops and feeding it to animals, which these crops could feed pretty much the whole world,
People.
right? So there's that
Mm.
piece. We have all the pollution through factory farming, through overfishing disease. We're driving species to extinction, right, with the way we're doing things. Um, from all I've gathered is, for our personal health, a plant-based, whole food plant-based diet, I have to say, is the most sustainable way because it's much healthier than eating meats with all the things that are in meat and animal products to make more profit, like antibiotics, right? Um, that has detrimental impact on our health. Um, if we're not doing the antibiotic route and we're going organic, we have some chickens here that came from an organic um, antibiotic-free farm. These guys had every single bacterial disease and viruses you could imagine. I can't think how this can be good for us to ingest. But that's just my personal opinion, right? So um, there's the health aspect. Then we have the environmental aspect, the methane gas
Absolutely.
that's produced through our beef production or how we keep the beef, right? Not the beef, the cows.
The
Um,
cows.
all of that. We have like these huge manure lakes from the pig farms that are sprayed all over the place where people, usually in low income, marginalized ethnic groups, right, that have detrimental health implications. And we're, you know, deforesting to make
Yeah.
space for
Actually, if you go to
cattle
think of
farm.
it, yeah. So our ancestors did rely a lot on plants to survive. And in terms of diseases, I'm sure there were far less diseases then than they are now. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge to convince somebody to give up meat, especially if somebody is has grown up, on meat. So, on a parting note, Nicole, what advice would you give to our audience?
Well, that's a good one. Good one. Find your heart, connect to animals, and I'm going to promoting a book here that even me being vegan for a while, I did not know all of the health implication that
Right.
diet has. So, being myself a little bit on a health journey right now, I read How Not to Die from Dr. Greger, and that was another big eye opener for me, personally, right? Of all the things that I didn't know around where we putting our health in jeopardy, right? With the way we're eating. And I'm like, if you're not doing it for the animals, if you're not doing it for the environment, do it for yourself, right?
Do it for yourself.
Because the way we're eating, particularly is sad, the standard American diet, and it is really sad when you look at that. Um, it's very detrimental to our health. And I think
Right.
if people don't have a connection to animals, that's okay because not everybody has, and that's totally fine. And the same with the environment. If you're not connected to nature and not, that's okay as well. But what about yourself?
At least don't. Yes.
Do it for
That's a good
yourself.
thought.
Look
Yeah.
into
So
this for yourself.
be a little selfish there and think about
Yeah.
yourself too. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. It was lovely talking to you. And I do believe in so many of your thoughts that you have expressed here. But that's again you and me. So thank you so much for what you do. And here's hoping you all the best for securing and giving refuge to more animals.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about the Good Life Refuge. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.